Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. For more than 150 years, ours has been a congregation of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your hopes for our world, and your story are welcome here. And our doors are closed because our hearts are open, living our values of care and compassion. Please stay connected online through small groups, Sunday coffee hour, small groups for spiritual reflection, book groups, and a variety of opportunities for newcomers as well. You can visit our website or contact our staff to find out more, to get connected. And this Wednesday, you can join us as we end our 2020 forums, Wednesday forums for the year, and say goodbye 2020 with a festive and fun Carol Request Live with our musicians Austin Ferguson and Joe Mish. You can simply come 6:30 this Wednesday on Zoom and call out your favorite holiday carols or songs, and they will play them impromptu and fight over who has to do it. And if they don't know it, they'll maybe make something up, whatever. It's going to be a fun and festive end to 2020 forum, so join us 6:30 this Wednesday night. And find information in your e-news from a special email this week, or check our website for all our holiday happenings. So donation drives, including a virtual giving tree, special services on the solstice, December 21st at 7 o'clock, and Christmas Eve at 4 o'clock on YouTube, followed by a live Christmas Eve story time. You can bring candles and cookies and see each other as we read a story together. As well as this Sunday, December 20th, or next Sunday, I should say, December 20th at 4 o'clock in the lower parking lot, there will be a wonderful light display. There will be masked and distanced carolers. You can come and bring your donations, as well as pick up a Home for the Holidays kit, which will include candles from our Christmas Eve service here in the church that we normally have. So those will be going home with you. So come this Sunday, December 20th, from 4 to 5:30 for a festive time in the lower parking lot here at First UU. Today's offering will go to support the mission and vision of this church, including the Human Needs Fund, offering financial assistance to members and friends. And a special thank you to the member families who are offering reflections today for Hanukkah. Those families would normally be getting together this time of year, and of course they can't. We are grateful for you celebrating Hanukkah with us in today's service. Finally, in the words of the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes, minister of this church in the 1870s, may our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together.
This is the Unitarian Universalist Church. This is the church of the flaming chalice. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the loving heart, where friends come together and share.
Good morning, everyone. On this third day of Hanukkah, at sundown tonight, it will be the fourth night of Hanukkah. You can see by the tree behind me and the menorah in front of me that at our household we celebrate both Hanukkah and Christmas. Now, Hanukkah is really a minor religious holiday, and in spite of the 8 days of lighting candles, Hanukkah can hold a candle to Christmas with regard to religious significance. Hanukkah is a holiday that celebrates religious freedom and resilience. It's a holiday that celebrates the reclaiming of the great temple in Jerusalem and the rededication of that temple. As part of that rededication, the eternal flame was relit, and that flame, to this day, burns in every synagogue worldwide. My family lit the menorah on all 8 nights of Hanukkah, and I like the ritual. Gifts were not a part of the holiday in my household. We sang the blessings, we lit the candles, we had dinner, maybe we played dreidels, and maybe we had chocolates. That was it. But I liked the ritual. My parents both grew up in Europe and both grew up in Orthodox homes. They both chafed at Orthodoxy, and today they would be known as Jewish humanists. Although they were not religious, for a few hours each week they sent me and my sisters to Hebrew school so that we could learn Jewish history and Jewish culture. And I had a coming-of-age bar mitzvah, and my sisters had bat mitzvahs. When my father came home from work during Hanukkah and we lit the candles, I sensed connections that my mother and father felt with their parents and grandparents. Their history and their culture were important to them, and it was comforting and very moving to me. One year when we were visiting my mom and dad in New Jersey, our children were very young, and Elizabeth asked my mom if she told my mom that she would like to get a menorah so that we could celebrate Hanukkah at our home in Minnesota. My mother was delighted and very quietly and very quickly went out and got this menorah, which we lit and still light today in our household with our children and our grandchildren. Tonight is the fourth night of Hanukkah, and we will light 4 candles with our kids and grandchildren on FaceTime. I will delight in seeing the reflection of these candles in their eyes. I will look at the menorah and think of my mom and my dad and their and our long history. Now, the center candle is used to light all the other candles, and the blessing that is used begins, Baruch atah Adonai. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Chanukah. Happy Hanukkah.
This time of year, when we talk about Hanukkah, we hear the word miracle a lot. And oftentimes we think, well, there's nothing that's a miracle anymore. But many of us, well, me for one, believes that there are miracles in everyday things. Miracles Everywhere by Kate Coombs, art by Carme Lemonskates, inspired by the words of Walt Whitman. As to me, I know of nothing else but miracles. Whether I walk the streets of Manhattan or dart my sight over the roofs of houses toward the sky, or wade with naked feet along the beach, just in the edge of the water, or stand under trees in the woods, or talk by day with anyone I love, or sit at the table at dinner with the rest, or watch honeybees busy around the hive of a summer forenoon, or animals feeding in the fields, or birds, or the wonderfulness of insects in the air, or the wonderfulness of the sundown, or of stars shining so quiet and bright, or the exquisite, delicate, thin curve of the new moon in the spring. To me, every hour of the light and the dark is a miracle, because everything is miraculous. This book also reminds me a lot of Peter Mayer's song, Holy Now, about how really, if you look around, there are miracles in everyday things.
I was raised in Decatur, Illinois in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. During the holiday season, I was a Jewish girl in a Christian town, vibrant with Christmas decorations and Christmas festivities that did not belong to me. But because I was embraced by a small, tightly knit Jewish community, as well as my paternal grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins, I was able to navigate the holiday season with just a small amount of jealousy. At Sunday school, we learned the story of Hanukkah, played Dreidl, and had an all-synagogue latke party. Because Jewish holidays begin at sunset, we lit our menorah at home each night of Hanukkah, one candle the first night, two the second, and so on. Hanukkah is a minor Jewish holiday, but in America, because it takes place at Christmas time, many Jewish families, including mine, exchange presents. As the candles burned until they were completely melted, my brother and I opened one present every night. These were not big, I've always wanted one presents, but they were treasures, a yo-yo, crayons, a book. Then, on the last night of Hanukkah, we had a Hanukkah party at our house with all of our relatives. We had a round coffee table in our living room on which all the gifts were piled high, and we spent the evening tearing into them, trying them out, and sharing the joy of the season. These traditions are dear to me. Dave and I light the menorah my brother brought us from Israel, and our children and grandchildren receive 8 Hanukkah gifts, as well as Christmas presents. There is no Hanukkah table, for we have a Christmas tree, and our family gatherings for about 25 years has been with some of our UU friends who have become family. Our religion's fourth principle is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Dave and I are invited to blend our Jewish and Christian traditions while creating new ones. As we light the menorah this year, we remember loved ones from the past, hold dear those still with us, and pray that next year we can resume our tradition of gathering in celebration and friendship.
Good morning, everyone. I bought this menorah when I was a young adult living in Mount Horeb, Wisconsin, in a house I had purchased about 15 miles west of Madison. I was quite involved with Folklore Village, a rural folk arts center located in an old one-room schoolhouse in those days that celebrated foods, dance, music, and folk traditions. Inspired by an impromptu retelling of the story of Hanukkah, more or less, at a Saturday night potluck, I purchased this menorah about 45 years ago. Lighting it each year at Hanukkah puts me in touch with many memories. Lighting the menorah when I was growing up and hearing my father sing the blessing, being in touch with my Jewish history, and participating in a ritual that is as old as Hanukkah itself. My menorah is a contemporary design. It was made in Israel and it's bronze with a patina. It reminds me of a shofar, the ram's horn that is blown at Rosh Hashanah. Ethan, my son, has my childhood menorah. It is made of cast brass and it is quite heavy. It was made in Israel probably in the very early 50s. When my mother died in 2007, she had 3 menorahs. She also had 3 grandsons, so that worked out well. For a few years after that, we lit my parents' menorah at our house, and that was very special. But when Ethan was in graduate school, he took his menorah to his house and has lit it there ever since. This picture of my childhood menorah lit on the last night of Hanukkah with all 8 candles burning was taken in Ethan's apartment. I love that Ethan gets to light my childhood menorah, reciting the blessing he has heard spoken by me, that I heard spoken by my father. Participating in this ritual around the holiday year after year connects us to our history and the importance of passing these traditions on to the next generation. This is precisely how Judaism survived through centuries of oppression, discrimination, and even attempts to eradicate its people. It becomes a powerful symbol. It speaks to me of perseverance, determination, hope, and light. It seems especially important this year.
It is good to be with you. We are separated by space and time, but we are still together, and we gather in this virtual way as we continue to create a place of communal caring and connection. Be enriched by the virtual presence of each other, and draw yourself closer into the heart of love at this time of service and reflection. In this time that we ask that our minds be open, our hearts welcoming, our arms embracing. We honor all who support us in this caring, loving, and all-inclusive ministry. We send gratitude to Ella Van Lanningham, serving as our caring coordinator up until December 19th, arranging care for our members and friends in need. The members of our caring committee are wonderful examples of our compassionate community, holding us up as we go through challenging and happy times. And during this time of increasing needs in our lives and community, we encourage you to reach out for support and help if you are experiencing challenges. Many of us may need additional care, whether it be personal pastoral care, grocery delivery, or an errand run, and we encourage you to reach out to Reverend Luke or myself with that request. We thank all of you who have served our congregation in this way over the last few months. Today's flowers are shared by Jerry and Elizabeth Katzmann. They were gifted to them by 5-year-old grandson Oliver, and Elizabeth says they were too beautiful for just she and Jerry to enjoy. In this community, we make time each week to share pieces of our lives with one another. We do this because each person here has value. Each person's experience matters. We lift up those whose lives are touched by sadness, by illness, by worry, or by loneliness. We revel in those who are celebrating joys in their lives. May their happiness lift us all. May all of us find comfort, hope, joy, and healing strength in this community. We hold Beth Plaitzer and her family tight in our hearts. Beth's father, Melvin Hammer, age 88, of Redding, California, was married to Beth's mom, Mary, for 65 years. He was at home awaiting news on the success of Mary's emergency spinal surgery when he suffered a major stroke. The hospital staff was able to bring them together for 2 visits before Melvin passed away of complications on Thanksgiving morning. During this extremely difficult time, please hold Beth, her mom Mary, and all who knew Melvin in your thoughts. We hope that they find comfort in the love of this community. And as we have over these last few months, we need to continue to reach out to all in our community to let them know we are still here and still holding and supporting them. We encourage you all to send cards and make calls to those that you love and support your local businesses, opening the doors of communication and community. May the faith in the spirit of life, love for the community of earth, and love for the light in each other be ours now and in all the days to come.
I invite you to take a deep breath. Breathe deep the breath of life. Breathe deeply in this time of love and justice, of hope and grace. Know that in this house you are named, you are known as beloved, as sacred. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, feeling below you the earth and its ancient turning, feeling above you the stars with their ancient light, holding you here in this moment, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life and source of love, God of 1,000 names and beyond all naming. There are days when the lamp is running empty of the heart, the soul, feeling dried up of hope or possibility for the long months ahead. In these tender days and a long season to come, let us remember we need not fill our lamps all on our own. That if the soul is a lamp that needs oil to stay alive, our ancestors have left us reserves of oil to draw from through story, through love. So have friends and strangers giving us moments, glimpses of light and love shining when every indication would have been it was used up and gone, but still, miraculously. Help us remember that love keeps showing up, sometimes a flicker, sometimes a flame, that when we light the lamp, it must be not only for ourselves, but to shine out beyond the lintel and sill of our own lives so that through distance we might know a mighty light that shines only as a thousand tiny lights. Those are the lights that light our way. We hold this day all those who suffer in mind, in body or spirit. I invite you to bring the names you're holding this day, in joy or in sorrow, celebration or concern, and silently or aloud now in this time to speak their names. For all the names spoken and unspoken, may we be forever grateful for the love and the life that weaves us together. These words of meditation come from Rabbi Rachel Berenblatt for Hanukkah. She writes, "Some days I can enter the Holy of Holies by snapping my fingers. The doors swing open. Other days I ransack every pocket to find the key, and when I get inside, the room is darkened. There's mud on the floor. The intricate altar is grimy and askew, its heartbeat silenced. And I sweep the ashes away. I open my thermos of tea and I rehang the tapestries, great branches arcing, and at last I light the lamp, the glint, the glow regenerating, the home fire eternally burning. I learn to trust again that this oil is enough to open my eyes to God that is already here. Amen.
really didn't know much about Hanukkah until I volunteered to give a sermon about it at the UU Church here over 20 years ago. My qualifications were that I had been born and raised in the Jewish tradition, but my family didn't really celebrate Hanukkah very much while I was growing up. We lit the holiday candles and said the blessings, but that was about it for Hanukkah. And in reality, my research in preparation for that sermon confirmed that Hanukkah is indeed a minor holiday on the Jewish calendar, as in fact the only Jewish holiday not included in the Hebrew Bible. But one of the things I love about this church is that my participation here has led me to further explore my Jewish roots and open my mind to stories and concepts I had rejected as a youth. Around the time that I was preparing the sermon, my wife Robin and I were contemplating what holiday traditions we wanted to establish and nurture for ourselves and for our young children. Robin had grown up with Christmas trees, stockings, gift exchanges, and traditional foods and treats. I was comfortable with these, but also wanted to pass on a sense of the Jewish background to our kids. We started this by partnering with Jodi and Dave Edmonson and their family, creating a new tradition of having a Hanukkah celebration, making homemade potato pancakes called latkes, lighting the candles in a menorah, saying the Hebrew blessings, and having a white elephant gift exchange. This became a yearly event and soon included the Katzmanns as regular participants, along with various guests over the years, and now extended families. Now, as these families have grown, it has become a big party to prepare for. Last year, Jerry peeled over 40 pounds of potatoes, and he and I spent over 2 hours frying them in hot oil on the stove to make enough latkes for the families. And I still have a few scars from oil burns as proof. The cooking oil is supposed to remind us of the Hanukkah miracle of 1 day of menorah oil lasting 8 days, when the Hebrews rededicated their temple in ancient times. Elizabeth makes sufganiyot, jelly donuts fried in oil, as another celebratory food. Although not an oil food per se, Jodi and Dave make multiple quarts of applesauce, which pair deliciously with the latkes. And we still have a white elephant gift exchange, which can get quite prolonged as multiple gifts are selected, traded, stolen, and so on. It gives me a good feeling to have some ties to my family roots via Jewish celebrations. I love the community we have found here at First UU and enjoy the multiple holidays we celebrate throughout the year from varied traditions. I strongly identify with the following quote from the Reverend J. Wallen, minister at the UU Church of the Quad Cities. I find much resonance between my birth religion and Unitarian Universalism, especially in regards to ethical teachings and social justice. As my faith journey moved away from Judaism, I felt torn by my loyalty to honor my Jewish heritage and the history of my ancestors who struggled and sacrificed to practice their religion. As a Unitarian Universalist, I have found the freedom to incorporate the Jewish wisdom and practices that hold deep meaning for me into the greater whole of my religious experience.
Hanukkah by the Reverend Lynn Ungar. Come down from the hills, declare the fighting done, be bold, declare victory, even when the temple is wrecked and the tyrants have not retreated, only coiled back like a snake prepared to strike again. Come down, try to remember a life gentled by daily acts of domestic faith, the pot set to boil, the bed made up, the table set in calm expectation that when the sun sets, we will still be here. Come down and settle, unlearn the years of hiding, light fires that can be seen for miles, that dance and spark and warm the frozen marrow. Set lamps in the window. Declare your presence, your loyalties, the truths for which you do not expect to die. It would take a miracle, you say, to carve such a solid life out of the shell of fear. I say, you are the stuff from which such miracles are made.
Maybe you know the experience. When you know exactly what you need for whatever it is you're doing, a certain recipe or a project, and you are certain, absolutely sure that you've got what you need where you need it. And when you go to look in the pantry or the cupboard, or you look in the freezer or the supply closet, and then you realize there's not enough of one thing or the critical thing, you're just short. Not enough of whatever it is. Back in March, maybe it was toilet paper, which didn't hit as hard this spring. Maybe not enough flour for something, or enough detergent or sanitizer. Maybe not enough wrapping paper, or not enough reserves of resilience, or I think I can mind. Or not enough of certain other things to survive. Not enough in the bank account, not enough PPE or hospital beds, not enough space in the heart to hold it all, not enough love or hugs or connection through the screen to feel really held, not enough time, not enough of whatever it is that you needed this day for this moment, this project, this time, not enough. Have you wondered recently, if you had to, if it were necessary, and maybe it is, how long could you survive on the food that was there in the pantry, no matter what it is, old Twinkies or cans of beans, all of it? How long could you go if you had to stretch out whatever ingredient supplies you had, however much fuel you had, strength you had, energy, hope, resilience you had to last you for the long haul, the hard journey, whatever it might be? It's the reason that many I knew growing up would have some kind of winter survival kit in the back of the van or the trunk of the car, sometimes filled with quite useless things, actually, but some of them very practical: extra winter clothes, hand warmers, matches, maybe some flares for the side of the road, some electrician tape, a granola bar from 1995, probably still good, because we want to know and be certain we have enough, that there will be enough to survive the unexpected, to keep us alive. How long, cried the poet, the psalmist of Hebrew scriptures. How long, cry our hearts, longing for reconnection and revival that is not through a mask or a screen or dependent on certain resources or bandwidth. How long? How much? What is in your kit right now, tucked away in the back of your heart and soul? Of what you need in your soul survival kit, your spirit kit, to keep the lamps trimmed and burning, to be sure you have what you need. A few things might come to mind these days to have enough of: masks, sanitizer, distance, flour, coffee, tea, candles, poetry, books, sunshine, maybe snow, maybe not, music, the love of friends across distance. Enough memories in mind or in body of favorite places or peoples or smells or experiences that are helping to hold your heart together. But we know, beyond the little kit in the trunk, beyond the things just for ourselves alone, what we actually need instead of that little kit for our survival is, what is our communal kit made of? What structures of well-being and health, what resources need redistributing in so many ways so that those without much oil at all, so that their lights don't go out? Maybe the miracle is the possibility of communal care when it happens and how it could happen more. Maybe the miracle is how the heart breaks open beyond our own well-being and we realize we have enough oil to go around if we don't hoard it. So when our flame is getting small and the oil seems certain to run out, it's a neighbor or a friend or an ancestor, even a stranger, helps fill our lamp just enough, pours a little more oil in from theirs to keep the flame alive, to know that the oil belongs to all of us. Because we know the only way we have enough light to illuminate this world is if we remember the lamp is shared. And we each have drops of oil to offer to keep love and hope and faith and health alive. A few weeks back, Austin was going to record some music here in the sanctuary. It was a Sunday afternoon, one of the rare times I'm actually in the church in my office now, preparing for the following week. In a good practice of distancing, which kind of was normal practice for millennials before the pandemic, he texted across the building, asking how to add oil to the chalice so it would be lit for the recording. And in good prairie fashion, I was glad to tell him the secrets of this pulpit. We have a little cupboard and a liturgical emergency kit. I'll get it. It's a little box, and it has all the things you need, or at least some of them in the box, and some other things down underneath here, like the oil for the chalice, like a bell, like the gavel for the annual meeting for the president of the congregation, and other small things, extra lighters and extra tissues and a variety of things. In here, of course, is a little knife that Ray Phelps Bowman donated maybe a year or two back when we had trouble with one of the lighters during service, because no pulpit is complete without a little church knife to help get out of little jams. There's a Sharpie in here, there's some tape, always matches. It's a little emergency kit right there in the pulpit cupboard. Because we know here in this pulpit, it's not about just one person here. It's not and never about just one person. The thing about any good kit, whether it's in this pulpit or it's in the back of the car or whether it's in your heart, in your home, is that it is a collection and resources not for your own good alone. The important kits that we need are the ones that remember everything we need is about the building up of community, bringing love and joy and health and well-being to all of us. To be sure we have enough oil to light, not just for Austin's experience of recording music, but of reminding folks that the lamp is still lit through all these months. To be sure we have food enough, oil enough, love and hope enough to share beyond just our own little flame, even when we're unsure of our own meager gifts and if they're worth sharing or not. Even when all seems hopeless, together we are enough. Come down from the hills and declare the fighting done, writes poet Lynn Ungar. Be bold and declare victory even when the temple is wrecked, she writes. Try to remember that when the sun sets, we will still be here. Light fires that can be seen for miles, she writes. Set lamps in the window. It would take a miracle, you say, to carve such a solid life out of the shell of fear. She says, I say, you are the stuff from which such miracles are made. Try to remember that. Try to hold on to that, what the poet reminds us of. Try to remember that when the sun sets, we will still be here. So light fires that can be seen for miles. Set lamps in your window. You are the stuff in the kit. You are the oil of which miracles are made. Dear friends, don't let the light go out, and know that you need not keep it lit by yourself. We are a mighty light distanced as we are. All you need is a flicker, and know it is enough. Amen.